So number 20, the radius of a sphere with volume V is given by, and it gives us the equation. Find the radius of a ball that holds 66 cubic centimeters of air. So where's that 66 going to go? In front of my V, that's my volume. So I'm going to write R equals 3 times V, but V is 66, all over 4 pi, and I have to raise that to the 1/3 power. So once you plug that in, this just becomes a calculator problem. Okay, so let's put it in the calculator. So in the calculator, I'm going to put it in just like it looks. So I'm going to start off with parentheses, and then I'm going to use my fraction button. So I'm going to hit alpha y equals, and then my first choice. On the top, I have 3 times 66. And then on bottom, I have 4 times pi, or just 4 pi. So 4, and then second house top. And then I need to hit my right arrow key so it gets back over to the right. And then hit my right bracket. Whereas the pi button is second house top, or right above your division symbol. And then that needs to be raised to the 1/3 power, so I'm going to use my house top button again. 1 divided by 3. 2.5. Okay, so we'll round to 2.5. So number 20, my answer is 2.5 centimeters. No, because I'm finding the radius. So radius would just be centimeters. Okay, so if you didn't have a fraction button, you would just put, here's how I would do it. I would put parentheses and then just put 3 times 66. And then I'd go ahead and just hit enter. Divide that by 4 pi. Whoops. And then raise that power, or raise that answer to the 1/3. Let's make sure we get the same answer. Yeah. So put the top, hit enter, divided by the bottom, hit enter, and then raise that to the 1/3 power. Yes. Yes. Okay. Number 19. A triangle has a base of 6r to the 1/2 times t to the 3/4 and a height of 8r to the 1/2 times t to the 3/4. Find the area of the triangle. So we have to know how to find the area of a triangle. What is area of a triangle? Okay, 1/2 base times height. And they told us what our base and our height are. So I'm going to say 1/2. My base is 6r to the 1/2 t to the 3/4. My height is 8r to the 1/2 t to the 3/4. So it looks kind of gross, but it's really not that bad. I'm going to multiply all of my numbers together, just my constants. So 1/2 times 6 is 3, and 3 times 8, 24. So now let's do our r's. So I'm going to say this is going to be r. Now I have r to the 1/2 times r to the 1/2. So I keep my base and we add our exponents. So 1/2 times 1/2. I'm sorry, 1/2 plus 1/2. 1. So that's r to the first. Now let's do our t's. If I have t to the 3/4 times t to the 3/4, I keep my base. And again, I add my exponents. So 3/4 plus 3/4, 6/4, or 3/2, and we'll leave it improper. So it's t to the 3/2. And that's our answer. And since we're finding area, that would be units squared, because area is always my squared units. They didn't tell me if it's inches or feet, so I would put units squared. No. Yeah, you can just put R. All right, number 18. What is the square root of 34 divided by the square root of 51? It's not straight calculator because they want our answer in radical form. Now that poses a good question. If this is on the EOI test and I have choices, couldn't I just plug this in my calculator, plug my choices in the calculator, and my answer is the one that match up? And is that what a good math teacher would tell you to do? No, but on the EOI, we want you to be able to match up those problems. So here's one thing. I could rewrite this as 34 over 51. There's lots of ways we could do this. And then will 34 over 51 simplify? It actually does. There's a number that will go into both of those. Do you know what they are? I believe, well, 17 go into both of them? 17 will go into 34 two times, and 17 will go into 51 three times. Because I worked it last hour. So, what's the problem with this answer? Because really now I have square root of 2 over square root of 3, right? Okay, I have a square root in the bottom, and that's not allowed. So to get rid of that square root on the bottom, what can I multiply the top and bottom by? Square root of 3 over square root of 3. So square root of 2 times square root of 3 is square root of 6. And what's square root of 3 times square root of 3? 3. That's my answer. So far, so good? 17. Okay, now just because there's a lot of words doesn't mean you just skip it. Okay? So basically, when they give you problems like this, they're giving you a formula and then they're telling you what to plug in. It says the velocity of v in feet per second of a roller coaster at the bottom of a hill is related to the vertical drop h in feet and the velocity in feet per second of the coaster at the top of the hill by the formula, and it gives you what that is. What velocity must a coaster have at the top of a 150-foot hill to achieve a velocity of 100 feet per second? So basically, we just have to figure out what number goes where. So I have two numbers. I have 150 and 100. 150 is going to go in the place of what? It's 150 foot. So that's my h. 100 is, they're saying to achieve a velocity of 100 feet per second. Okay, they want to know what velocity must a coaster have at the top. Okay, well, if it's at the top, that's v sub 0, because it told me the velocity v sub 0 in feet per second of the coaster at the top of the hill. So that's what I'm finding. So this one goes in the place of v. So I have v sub 0 equals v squared, so 100 squared, minus 64 times h, but h is 150. Now, doesn't that become just a straight calculator problem? Yes. So plug that in. And when you plug that in, make sure you get this. You got 2,000? Did you do 100 squared? All right. Number 16. Okay, it says solve, and I have this inequality with a square root sign. When we have an inequality, there are two things we had to do. What was the first thing? Okay, we need to set what's underneath the radical, 5y minus 10, greater than or equal to 0. Because that cannot be an imaginary number. So when I solve this, I get 5y is greater than or equal to 10. So when I divide by 5, y would be greater than or equal to 2. So I'm going to have to check that to see if it's going to work. Okay, do you want to check it now or later? Okay, now. So we're going to check a number y is greater than or equal to 2. So I'm going to use 2, and I'm going to plug it into this and see if it works. So 4 minus 5 times 2 minus 10 is less than or equal to negative 1. So this is 10, right? 10 minus 10 is 0, and the square root of 0 is just 0. So I have 4 is less than or equal to negative 1. Is that true? So I automatically know I'm not using that. So now we need to solve this just like we would normally. Okay, I have 4 minus the square root of 5y minus 10 is less than or equal to negative 1. So when I solve this, I have to isolate the radical. What's the first thing I'm going to do? Ideas? Close. Before I do that, I need to get all this by itself first. So I have negative square root of 5y minus 10 is less than or equal to negative 5. Then I need to get rid of this negative. How do I get rid of that? Multiply or divide. So when I do that, I get square root of 5y minus 10. What do I do to this inequality sign? I have to switch it around. Okay, because I multiplied by negative. Now if I want to get rid of this square root sign, what do I do? Square both sides. So I have 5y minus 10 is greater than or equal to 25. Add 10 to both sides, I get 5y is greater than or equal to 35. Divide by 5, so y is greater than or equal to 7. Okay, now we can't just assume that it's going to work. I need to check it by plugging in a number. What number do you want to use? 7. So 4 minus 5 times 7 minus 10 is supposed to be less than or equal to negative 1. 4 minus 35 minus 10 is less than or equal to negative 1. 4 minus the square root of 25. So is it going to work? Yeah, because I get negative 1 is less than or equal to negative 1. So my answer is y is greater than or equal to 7. Okay, are we good so far? All right, number 15. Okay, on 15, I'm supposed to isolate my radical sign. It already is. What am I going to do to both sides? It's to the cube root, so I need to cube both sides. So when I cube the left, I get 3m plus 1 equals 4 cubed. 4 times 4 times 4, 64. Subtract 1, 3m equals 63. Divide by 3, and I get m equals 21. So we have to check it. When I check it, I have the cubed root of 3 times 21 plus 1 equals 4. 3 times 21 is 63 plus 1 equals 4. Cubed root of 64, cubed root of 64 is 4. So my answer okay, 14. Simplify the expression. We had one like this on the worksheet. Which part should I do first? The bottom part. So I have x, and on the bottom I have the same base, so I keep my base, and I have to add my exponents. So my common denominator is 6, so this is 3/6 plus 2/6, 5/6. So now I have x to the 5/6. So now I'm supposed to divide them. I have the same base, so I keep my base. And what do I do to my exponents? When you're dividing, you subtract. So it's 1 minus 5/6. So that's going to be 6/6 minus 5/6. So my answer is x to the 1/6. Yeah, and this, my exponent on this is 1. Okay, number 13. Write the radical fifth root of 32m to the third using rational exponents. When it says use rational exponents, they want us to write it without any radical signs, and they want fractions as your exponents. So my index number is always my lowest number, my denominator. So I have 32 to what power? To the, what power does the 32 have with it? To 1. So to the 1/5, m to the 3/5. Now here's the deal. After that, we always have to check our numbers to see if it'll simplify. 32 is 8 times 4. 8 is 2 times 2 times 2. 4 is 2 times 2. I need 5 in a group, because that's what this said. So that simplifies down to 2. So this is really 2m to the 3/5. All right, number 12. The diameter of a tree is related to its base area by the formula, and it gives you the formula. If the base area of a tree is 12.4 square feet, what's the diameter? So we're solving for D. We're just going to plug our numbers in. D equals 576 times my base area. My base area was 12.4 divided by pi. So that becomes a calculator problem. Okay, so when I put that in my calculator, I have the square root. I'm going to go ahead and use my fraction button. And then it's 576 times, what was that, 12.4. And on bottom, I have divided by pi. 47.69. You should. 47.693. 576 times 12.4. Oh, okay. I hit my pi button. You guys probably typed in 3.14, so that's probably why I'm off a few decimal places. No. Huh? Yes. Yeah. So diameter equals 47.693 inches, or whatever it is that you guys got if you hit your pi button.